Good morning, I'm Maddie. I am the Blue Cross of Blue Shield of Michigan's Wellness Coordinator, and today we are going to make 3-ingredient waffles, and you can spice it up however you want, but there's 3 ingredients and then you can add a different flavor if you want, but just trying to show you the base of how you can create a simple waffle, especially if you don't have a ton of ingredients in home and you're just really craving that breakfast waffle. And also it's something that where you don't have to use a banana. I personally don't like banana pancakes because I don't like the banana flavor, and so I'm just weird like that. So these waffles get really crispy, they're gluten-free, and they're just good little carb that you can get for the day, especially if you need a little extra carbs in your diet. So what I have here is our little waffle maker. And then what you'll need is, we have gluten-free sprouted oats, but just some oats. We have flaxseed, cinnamon, and then nutmeg is optional. And then also you'll need water. So this is just the basis, and then you can also add collagen or protein to them if you want to add a little more like protein to your meal, which we always like to do, or either have like a side of protein. So what I have is, I have this warmed up. I put some oil in there, some olive oil in there. I was going to say extra virgin olive oil. Don't use extra virgin olive oil because then the flavor will definitely not taste great. So I put some of that. It's heating up. And what I have here is my little blender. You can use any type of blender that you have. I already made one waffle, so we are going to kind of walk through the process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1 cup of oats to this blender. 1 cup of oats to there. So, and then I'm going to add, and I ballpark all this. This is something, a recipe I just kind of created up on a whim, and so this is about a tablespoon of flaxseed. This is something that kind of binds it together. You can use ground flaxseed too as well. So about a tablespoon of flaxseed. Getting those good healthy fats in with your carbs kind of helps regulate your blood sugar. So then we're going to add some cinnamon. You can add a teaspoon of cinnamon or just a touch if you don't like a ton of cinnamon. I always add a little heavier on the side, so about a teaspoon cinnamon. I really like the cinnamon flavor. And then add just a touch of nutmeg. So nutmeg is totally optional, especially if you don't like it, but it's just a little sprinkle of nutmeg to kind of bring out those flavors. If you're trying to create like a pumpkin spice waffle, you can do nutmeg, cinnamon, and then also there's like different pumpkin spice flavors out there too that you can kind of mix together to make that pumpkin spice flavor, especially if you're making these in the fall. So I have those in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add about a cup of water. So this, it's all about the texture. You don't want this to be too runny because then your waffle is not going to be crispy. It's going to be flat and floppy. So you want it to feel like it's like a thick pancake batter when you make the consistency of it. So I'm going to add about a cup of water to that. And if you blend it up and you notice it's too runny, I add a little bit more oats. Sometimes when you let it sit, say you're sitting in between waffles, you're prepping for the next waffle and you're letting one waffle cook and you notice, oh, when you go back to this, it's already like thicker. Sometimes it just sets up and those oats soak it up, and then also those ground flaxseed. So sometimes you don't need to add as much oats in there as you think. So now I'm going to blend it up for about 10 seconds just to make sure it's all mixed together, blended together. Awesome. So I'm going to take that. And you notice like now, so I might have added a little too much water to it, so it's about a cup. But, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a touch more oats. So you want the consistency to be. So I added about probably 1/4 cup more of oats, and I'm going to blend it up and you'll notice the difference. So to a cup and a 1/4 cup of oats, and then about a cup of water. And you can always go on the safer side, add less water, especially if you're new to baking or new to just kind of cooking in the kitchen. Add less water so then you don't have to play around with it. So now you can see the consistency is a little runnier, but it's like the pancake batter thickness. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this evenly all throughout my my waffle iron, and then I'm going to mix it, and I'm going to let it cook. So it's about 10 minutes to cook, but I also go back and check it. I tap it. When I open it up, I'll show you. I tap it to make sure it's hard and crispy. This waffle is going to be a crispy waffle. I know I'm gluten-free, and so when I have tried different waffle recipes, they've always just been floppy and not like that crispy flavor, especially when you don't want to add like a ton of ingredients to it. You don't want all those gums and different things. So this is like really simple ingredients, and I don't have to use like a gluten-free flour to make this. It's just using those oats. And depending whether or not you do well with oats. So this is something that is just really easy to make. Though I guess waiting in between waffles is the only thing that's kind of difficult, especially if you have a large family. But in the meantime, we always cook up while we're waiting for the waffles. I'll make some, we call it our berry jam. It's really not too much jam. It's not the thickness of a jam, but it's the consistency and the flavor of jam. So what I have here, and I'll kind of show you while this is cooking, I have a frozen mixed berries that I put into here. This is about 2 cups of mixed berry that I threw into the pan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook this. You get to see my little nifty-way starter stove. So I'm going to let this cook on medium to high, just to kind of get it all melted down. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of lemon juice. And depending on how tart you want, you can always add more lemon juice as you taste it throughout. Then I'm going to add just a titch of maple syrup. We like it more tart than sweet on top of our waffles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a touch, like probably about a teaspoon of maple syrup. So what we're going to do, we're going to let it cook down. Kind of show you, it's going to kind of melt down. So I'm going to let those, and once it melts down and it kind of breaks apart, because I had a huge chunk of it, I'm going to start mixing it, and I'm just going to keep letting it cook. Once it gets all melted down, I'm going to turn it down to medium, and I'm going to let it cook for about 15 to 20 minutes, just cooking down. So usually if we have time in between, this is what I'll do if we need to make more jam. But usually I always have jam made ahead of time, and I usually just do this either in between, or if I have time throughout the day, I'll make some. But this is kind of what the jam looks like at the end. And we just spread it over our waffles, and then it just adds that flavor, and then we're not adding as much maple syrup, which maple syrup isn't bad, but if you get those natural flavors from the berries, they're low in sugar. Any berries are lower in sugar. We added lemon juice, which is good. It helps our digestive system. Also adds a little tartness. And then the maple syrup, adding a teaspoon of maple syrup, kind of brings out those flavors of those berries. So not too much sugar to that. And this is what we usually, it will make a whole big canning jar of mixed stuff that we'll have for a while to add to different things that we want to add it to. If you want to, when you add the collagen or protein to your waffle mixture, I add just about a scoop of it, or depending on how big you're making it, I'll add a scoop of the collagen or protein to it. So that's about a tablespoon of that. added to the protein mixture. So we're going to check on this right now. We're going to see how it's doing. So you can see at the edges, they're a little, not like sticky, but they're soft. But in the middle, it's a little harder. So we know that we need to cook it for a little longer. So I'm going to give it about 3 more minutes and I'll come back and check on it. But it's just kind of feeling it out. You want that hard waffle. You don't want that soft, floppy waffle. And you'll be able to taste it too. The flavor of it, like the difference between a softer waffle, it'll be a little more gummier, where this will be nice and crispy and full of flavor. If you want to add any additional flavor to the waffle beyond like just the 3 ingredients or the cinnamon, you can add vanilla to add that vanilla flavor. You can make chocolate waffles just by adding some cocoa to it. You can also, I've tried where I've added some of this jam to our waffle mixture, just about 2 tablespoons of that to the waffle mixture to make it like a berry waffle, and that turned out pretty well. The flavor was good. We still added some of this on top of our waffle, but it still tasted more like a berry flavor. So it's totally up to you how you want to play with it. You can add chocolate chips to it, just plop it on the top of the waffle, but whatever you kind of want to do, have fun with it. Allow your kids to make their own waffle, create their own waffle. It's all in one blender, and then you just have the cleanup of the blender and the waffle maker beyond just your plates from eating. But it's a good little fun little recipe that we like to make, especially if we're in a pinch and we are running low on groceries. This is the kind of our go-to that we'll make. Especially if you're running low on vegetables and you just need something quick and easy, where you get your carbs, you get your fats, and then if you add the protein to it, or if you eat protein on the side, you'll have some protein from that as well. And a little bit of sugar to meet that little sweet tooth that you might have. So let's check on this. So it's still a little gummy, but it's not too bad. So what I'm going to do is I take a knife. I'm going to get underneath it. Oops. And I'm going to flop it on there. But it's hard. You can kind of see how it's hard, it's crispy, and the consistency, it's not like doughy, it's not flat, it looks like a regular waffle. You want to be able to tell it's gluten-free. So I'll kind of show you what the inside looks like. As I pull it apart, you'll notice that you can see some of the flaxseed in there, but easy, delicious. So I hope you have fun with this. Once this cooks down, it's going to melt down. You'll start mixing it all together, and I let it sit and simmer for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then you're good to go. You can put a lid on it too. That will kind of help with cooking it down. But like I said, 15 to 20 minutes. Taste it. If you want to add a little more maple syrup or lemon juice, go right ahead, and then I just pour it right in the jar and keep it in the refrigerator. So I want to thank you for joining me today. Comment below or like the video if you want credit for the Strive for 5 program to earn your 8 hours of PTO. If you have any questions, please comment below. But this is really simple, really easy, and I hope that you have a good rest of your day, and I hope to see you in our group exercise classes. Thanks. Bye.